My name is Doug Fisher. I'm New Jersey Secretary of Agriculture for the state of New Jersey, the Garden State. And I'm here at Lucas Greenhouses in Gloucester County, an amazing place where they grow all kinds of plants year-round for the trade. The Lucas family, they are generational. The whole family is engaged. George started this business with 4 acres. In fact, he told me at one time he hoped he could just get started with 1 acre. That started with 4, and they have grown to almost 2 million square feet in greenhouses, and are looking to even expand even more. That's a success story, where they've had to do so much work to get here, but that they have their whole family engaged. Some are in sales, some are in production, some of them are in the office, and they employ hundreds of people. So all around, it's a New Jersey success story, and that's why we're here.
My name is Lacey Lucas. I am the oldest child of George and Louise.
Hi, my name is Corey Lucas. I am the middle child of George and Louise Lucas. This is my son Colton and Lincoln. They come to work each day with me and help.
Hello, I'm Nate Lucas. I am George and Louise's youngest son here at Lucas Greenhouses. George and I sat down years ago and decided the best thing for me to do is to learn the operations of the business from the ground up. That's kind of what I've done. And now I graduated school back in 2013. Since graduating, I've kind of evolved into a role of management. My favorite part about working here is working with my family. It's awesome. I had an opportunity to work in a corporate environment, and that's just not something I wanted to get into. I like the flexibility. You can come in and be your own boss. And just being, like I said, being with family is my favorite part, probably.
I am under Louise working in the accounts payable department. I also handle all HR, including healthcare and benefits and stuff like that. And then I do photography. I think just being around the plants is a huge, amazing benefit for me. I have a biology degree, so I love anything science. So I get to come out and shoot the plants. I don't get to really work in the dirt as much as I would love to, but just being able to come out and enjoy them from time to time and kind of decompress from the bookwork is a really nice benefit.
My job here at Lucas Greenhouses is to do the payroll. I also handle banking, credit cards, so I do that sort of that side of the financial part of our business. If things get really busy, I'll handle the accounts receivables or payables, but that's only if we're really, really busy. I also handle master tag, putting it into the computer, and that's really what I do here. One thing that I have learned from my parents and have always admired and watched as I've grown up is their giving hearts and their willingness to help people, no matter if it's a small area of help or if it's a large area of help. They have very giving hearts, and they're willing to give back because of how that they have been blessed. And I've always admired that, whether it's in our church community, our schools that are in the local areas, or just people who are looking to do fundraisers. They like to help kids. They're also very involved in the 4-H program still. That's something that they grew up both doing, and they like to give back to that as well. I think that's something that's really wonderful and very admirable.
As a family-owned company, we really appreciate and value other families and our employees. Most of them are related to each other, and we really appreciate our employees. I know my parents talk constantly about taking care of people and your people, because they are what make your company what it is.
George Lucas at Lucas Greenhouses. Louise and I started this business in 1979. I grew up on kind of a small farm. My dad wanted to get into the farming business, but ended up becoming a painter instead. So we had a small farm, and I met Louise through 4-H actually when we were like 12 years old or something like that. But I worked in a greenhouse from the time I was 14 until I was 21 after we got married, and then we decided to start this business. So again, we started just with 4 acres of ground and 9,000 square feet of greenhouses.
Well, this has been definitely an experience. When we first started out, it was very difficult because he still worked his old job and I worked for my parents on their farm. But as we learned to juggle going back and forth between the two, because we started out with two 30 by 150 greenhouses, I would be here during the day by myself, and then he would come at the end of the day. We would build benches at night, and then slowly but surely we would add space to the greenhouse. And so it would be difficult sometimes because he would have one idea and I would have another. So we butted heads a little while, but it took time to learn to walk together. But eventually we made out well. We had hard years where we would, it seemed like we were going to starve to death and ate roadkill. But we learned to walk together, and the Lord was good to us. And we just built probably, I would say, every other year. And we had a good customer base. The biggest thing is that both of us worked together. It wasn't one person working and another person doing something else. We would work together. We would work hard early in the morning, late at night, weekends, sometimes holidays, depending on if there was a storm and something happened. We had to tie the plastic down or push the snow off with shovels. So that was difficult. When we had the flood a couple years ago, we would get out together with our children. We moved irrigation pipe and waded in the water in order to set up the pipe and the pumps in order to allow the mum crops to survive where the water was real deep. So we've learned over the years to work together.
So one of the questions was about us working together, and Louise mentioned, it was difficult, and it was. I mean, we're both firstborn kids. We're both headstrong. We both have good ideas. So we butted heads. I have a flat forehead because of it, but we always ended up working together. One thing about Louise was that she does take on a role of support for me. No matter what I decide, right, wrong, or indifferent, she's always behind me, and that's real important.
Okay, here we are in the greenhouse. And the bedding plant seed flats have come in from our vendor that we buy them from. They come into the greenhouse, and we set them down in the greenhouse so that they can adjust to the environment. Then they will get picked up depending on when we want to plant them or how many varieties we want to plant. They will go into the potting barn where they go through the TTA machine. They get planted on the line. Then they come out of the line and get put back down into the greenhouse where they will stay there sitting for usually 6 to 8 weeks depending on the season or the individual crop until they are ready to market, and then they get shipped out of the greenhouse and go directly to the vendor. Okay, so the worker right here puts the bedding plant flat and the cell packs on the tray. Then they run here through the machine, which takes and drops the soil onto the tray to fill it up. It will go in a little bit further where the brush levels the soil off to make sure that the soil is even. It then comes out of the other side of the machine. This little air hose here takes and blows any of the extra soil off so the soil can go back in the bottom of the tray to be reused again. It then goes into the TTA machine where the grippers will go across and make 4 passes, putting the little seedlings into the bedding plant flats. So cool. And it plants 4 flats at a time. It makes 4 passes, planting the bedding plant flats. And these are pansies. And the girls, as they come out, the girls will take and check to make sure that there haven't been any plants missed by the grippers. Where there's a particular empty hole right here, she'll fix that. The other girls are putting the tags on. A little further down the line, they run through the water tunnel. The girl at the end puts them on the trays where they will go into the greenhouse, and there they stay until they are ready for market. Plant things in right here. And they've got them all filled with their little L pots and the soil. They're spaced so that way it gives enough air movement and sunlight to get around the pots. So, see, these are geranium cuttings that have come in either from Costa Rica, Guatemala, Mexico, point of origin. And you can see that these are actually a cutting off of a plant. They're unrooted cuttings. They come in here, they're already packaged, and they have their tags on them. Then the employee will take and go ahead and stick them in the little cell pots for them to root. And they will go and sit in the greenhouse. Depending on the crop, they will be 4 to 6 weeks. They will be misted every day. and the mist will change as the plant starts to root, and they will stay there till they are ready to ship to the customer for them to plant up their finished product.